We're going to be doing some base work here today. We're going to be recreating a snow scene. In this case, we're going to be making a white snow scene, like a freshly fallen snow, or a snow that's been fallen for a few days and maybe crusted over a little bit. This is going to be having a flushing up pheasant on it. This is going to be the snow area, and we're going to have a few weeds coming out of that. There's a number of different tools we're going to need for this and some supplies. We're going to need masking tape so we can mask off our hardwood base on this edge to protect it. We're going to need a caulking gun. This is a cordless powered model. You don't necessarily need this, but it makes the job a little easier. If you don't have that, you can use one of these ratchet type guns. We'll need powdered snow. You can get this from Mackenzie Taxidermy Supply. Walmart even sells this. We use two different kinds. This is the snow we're going to be mixing with our silicone caulking, and this is a top dressing snow. It has a little bit more glimmer on it. We're going to be using white 100% silicone caulking. That's what we're going to be mixing our snow with. This dries out overnight. It's very fumy when you're using it. That's why you hear the exhaust fan in the background. You want to be doing this outside or in a room that has plenty of ventilation. And we just have a bucket for mixing and some of our mixing sticks. To prepare to do this, we screwed in a piece of driftwood into our hardwood octagon base. We put a little piece of accent driftwood here. As stated before, the snow will be going through this entire area, but I need to protect this part of the hardwood base. I don't want to get any of my snow and silicone mix on that. If you would get a little bit on here, leave it, come back the next day, you can peel it off, but we might as well mask it off now to protect it. We're going to be using masking tape for this. You want to get a masking tape that does not leave a residue. We buy ours from Uline, and you'll see the item number on your screen right now. We use this for bird work also, works really good. We're just going to put it over the edge on each part of the octagon. You want to make sure you're completely covering it. We'll just continue this process around the entire base. We've got our base completely masked off. We have some padding that came with the hardwood octagon base. We have that down on the workbench to help protect the workbench, and more importantly, to protect the octagon so it doesn't scratch when we're turning it and working with it. We're going to use our cordless power caulking gun to completely put both of our tubes of white silicone into our mixing container. I'm going to start with 2 tubes. If you feel like you don't have enough, you can let this cure out and then add more. Or if you seem like you just don't have enough mix, you can quick mix some more up. But 2 tubes will generally do an octagon base like this. Because we're going to be mixing it with our powdered snow, it's going to build up relatively quickly. Again, you want to have good ventilation for this. And turn our power caulking gun up to full power. I'm just going to go ahead and fill up our mixing container. And we'll do that with both tubes. We have 2 tubes of our silicone into our mixing container. If it would ever get to the point where you're running a little low on your white, you could add a little bit of clear to it to make it go further. Also, if you were going to be making an ice scene and you didn't want the white snow look, you could use clear and mix it the exact same way. Works really good. One other quick note, you never ever want to use latex caulking for this. If you use latex, you're going to wait probably 5 years for that to completely cure out, whereas this will cure out overnight. So don't use latex. Okay, now we're just going to start mixing in some of our powdered snow. You do not want to put a lot of this in to start. You want to just start sprinkling some of it in. Mix it up and see where you're at. You want this to be fairly thick, this mixture, but you don't want it too thick so you can't spread it. So I put about a half a cup to a cup full of the powdered snow in. I got a heavy duty mixing stick for this. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more snow in. Main thing we're doing with this, we're trying to give that silicone some body to thicken it out a little bit. And kind of see where we're at here. This makes the silicone go much further. We're getting it very close. I'm going to add just a little bit more. Again, you want to work in an area where you have a lot of ventilation when you're using silicone like this. As I mentioned before, if you wanted to make it look like it's starting to slightly melt, you could mix a little bit of clear silicone in with this. Or if you wanted to make an ice scene, you could do it completely with clear silicone. It's real flexible. Just get the edges really good. You want to put enough in there that it holds its body, where it's, as you're working with it, it starts to stay. It doesn't keep collapsing down into your container. And it's collapsing just a little bit, so I'm going to put a little bit more in there. Again, with this process, you want to keep moving as you're working with this. You don't have a lot of work time with silicone. Okay, I think we've got it mixed up enough where I'm happy with it. It's holding its position really good. You could almost frost a cake with this now. That's kind of what you want it to look like, but don't eat it. Okay. Grab our base back into position. I'm going to be using a butter knife for this, and we're just going to be spreading it out on our base. You can do is you can actually take your mixing stick and start grabbing it out of here. Start throwing that into the center. You can just work it around from that area then. You could also put some foam in your base first if you wanted to build it up a little bit more. You can hear we put the fan on a little bit louder. We wanted to get a little bit more air moving through here. When you start spreading this stuff out on your base, it really smells. Okay, now we're ready to just smooth this out. Again, our client did not want a big mounded snow scene. He just wanted a suggestion of snow in the bottom. So we didn't foam this up first. If you wanted more of a humped up scene, you'd want to foam it. And we're just getting it spread out now. I want to get an even coating throughout the entire base. Okay, we have the first half of our base done. It's up to you how you want to handle working with this. You can do your entire base now, or you can do half and half. Because this does cure out relatively quickly, there's nothing wrong with doing half of the base to start and then finishing off the other half. So in this particular case, we're going to start by just doing this first half. You can see how I have it spread out. It doesn't 100% look like a spread out snow scene right now. There's a lot of marks in it from my knife. That's okay, we're going to take care of that right now. We're going to take some of our more sparkly snow. You could use this snow that we mixed with it, but this stuff has a lot more sparkle in it, so we're going to use this. You also notice I have gloves on when I do this. Very important. You don't want to get that silicone all over your hands. It'll be hard to get off. So we're just going to sprinkle this over the top. You want to completely cover everything with this. Because the customer wanted a fairly fresh snow scene, we're using real sparkly snow. Okay, now I'm just going to take my hand with the glove on, and I'm just going to press that sparkly snow into my silicone. This is doing two things. It's embedding the sparkly snow in so it sticks to it, and it's also spreading our snow out and flattening it down to make it look like snow and getting rid of our knife marks. There we go. Now we let this cure out overnight, and we'll come back with a little bit of compressed air. We'll just blow off any of this extra snow that didn't stick down. But you'll have a nice sparkly looking base once you blow it off. But you want to let it cure off at least overnight.